And today I am going to bring you a small tutorial on a semi-transparent overlay on an image. Now, one of my subscribers had asked me how to do this, and instead of just sending the answer to him, I figured I'd put together a small tutorial for everybody. So let's take a look here at what we're actually going to be doing. This is what we're going to be doing. So you have the image, and when you roll over it, that little black bar at the bottom pops up. Okay, so let's do it. It's actually quite simple. A little bit of CSS, and we can get that going. So let's get started. We're going to be using Dreamweaver CC on this one, but again, you can use whatever text editor you're comfortable with. Okay, so first thing, we are going to name our document, and we are going to call it overlay test. Okay. Now let's go ahead and save that to our little folder. Okay, I have a little folder there. I'm going to call it overlay. Okay, hit save, and we're ready to go. Okay, first thing, let's go to our head here, and we are going to call out our styles. So style, type, text CSS, close the styles. All right. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give our body, we're going to give it a light background, just so we know, easier for us to see what's on the stage. So background color, and it's a new update they just did to Dreamweaver CC. And the picker is no longer available. So let's just go, all right, looks like that gray is good. Hit enter, okay. Now we are going to zero out or reset our web page. So you do padding 0 pixels, margin 0 pixels, okay, and that's gonna zero it out. Okay, so now the first thing we wanna do, I'm thinking it's probably going to be easier if we started over here with the body. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a div here, and we're going to call it div class thumb. Okay, and close that and close this div. Okay, now the same as before, I like to use notes. I encourage you guys to do the same. So end of thumb, let's just call it a wrapper, because it's really what it is. Okay, now inside this thumb, okay, we're going to get into the classes for a minute, but let's just set up the architecture before. So another div class, call this overlay. Okay, I'll put a little paragraph in here. We're going to call it, is this going to work? Let's hope so, right guys? Let's close that paragraph and let's close that div. Okay, now on top of that, we're going to put our image. Okay, so image source, and you browse through whatever image you're going to use. So I have a little image already set up. Okay, now here you will notice I'm doing something with the width and the height, and I am calling that out. It's not 100% necessary for you to do it. I like to do it. It's actually good for so that Google can find actually your pictures and your content a lot easier if you call that out. So it's good practice to put in your width, your height. And the alt is actually when you stand on top of the picture, something will come out, like a little text will come out. I know you guys seen it. It's like a little yellow box. Okay, so now we have our, just like our basis, our basic structure here. So now let's get into these classes that we need to set up here. So the first one is called thumb, right? So a class is defined by a dot, right? So dot thumb, thumb. Okay, open and close brackets. Okay, now this particular one, you're not actually going to see it. Okay, so this one, what it does is that it actually keeps the effect within the image. Okay, so that it doesn't run all the way across, but it just keeps it within here. So what we need to do here is we're going to give it a position, and that position is going to be relative. Okay, then we're going to give it a width of 400 pixels, which is the size of our image, and we're going to give it a height of 400 pixels, which is our image. Our image is 400 by 400. We need not do anything more there. Okay, now we're going to set up another class. Now, this class that we're going to set up is when you actually hover over the image. Okay, so we're going to call that hover. So dot thumb, right? Hover dot overlay. Okay, then close brackets. Now here we're just going to give it the opacity. Okay, 0.5. Okay, and that's all we're going to do. So basically what we're doing there is that we're telling Dreamweaver that when you hover over this image, that you want the opacity of that image to go down to 0.15, to 0.5. Okay, now we're going to actually do the overlay class. So overlay. Okay, so now the position on this one is going to be absolute. Okay, we're going to give it top is going to be 350 pixels. I'll get into this in a second. No pixels to the left, no padding to the left. The width is again 400. Okay. The height is going to be 50 pixels. The background to our little is going to be black. So to that little bar that was popping up, that's going to be black. Okay, and the opacity, so that nobody can see it when the image loads, is going to be 0. Okay. Now the last thing that we need to style is the p tags, which is the paragraph tags. Okay. So we just type in p. That's all, and then we give it a font family. Right. I'm going to use Verdana for this one. Okay. We're going to go font size. 14 pixels should do it. Okay. The color of the font will be, I don't know, white. Okay. Let's go white. And padding. We're going to give it some padding so it doesn't just run flush to the left. So this is shorthand for your padding. Okay, so the first number that you write here refers to padding coming from the top. Okay, and it runs clockwise. So the second one would be to your right, the third one would be at the bottom, and the fourth one would be the left. So we don't want this text to run to the left, so we're going to give it 10 pixel padding. Okay, we're going to save and we're going to hit F5. Now once we hit F5, now we start to see this over here change. Okay, so now we have this here where it says, is this working? Now we have that div on top of our image. Our image is sitting right here, and we have this black bar sitting on top of it. Okay, so now let's check that in Firefox and see what happens. Okay, so now we see the image, and when we hover on top of it, our little "is this going to work" comes out. Okay, so now let's change this text from "is it going to work" to "this is working great." Okay, save, F5 on the Mac. and we update it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what's going on here, as far as what's going on in the background. Okay, so this overlay that we see right here, okay, this overlay is referring to the black bar right here, okay, that you see highlight right there in yellow. Okay, that's our overlay div. Okay, now the position is absolute. We're giving it 350 pixels from the top of padding. Okay, so if we were to change this to, let's say, 50, okay, so let's save, F5 to refresh on the Mac, and you see it goes right up. Now remember, we always have to make sure that our math lines up. Our image is 400 pixels. So if we're giving it, if we know that our overlay here, the height that we're giving it is 50 pixels, it means that if we want it to be flush to the bottom, it has to be 350, right? 350. So we save, F5, and boom, it goes back down to the bottom. Okay? The width of this black bar is 400 because our image is 400. Now, if you didn't want this black bar to run all the way across, well, then you can just, you know, give it a width of 250. If you do that and you refresh, well, it's going to get cut in half. Okay? But I kind of like the way that it runs all the way across. I think it looks better. So let's put it back. F5, and it goes all the way at the back. Now, here's something key. If you just type this text in here, but you take out these tags, these P tags, look what's going to happen. You save and refresh, they're going to disappear. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not there anymore. The text is still there, but you can't see it. Why can't you see it, you might be asking? Well, because now the text is acting as part of this overlay, okay? So the opacity for that overlay is 0, so you're not going to see it, and that's why you don't see it. So a little workaround around that is that we put it into some P tags, okay? Now you save, and it's back, okay? Now you obviously can style your P tags any way you want. You can make this text green, whatever you want. The hover command. The hover command is part of your link system. So you have a link, a hover, and these are used for links. Okay, in this particular situation, we're actually using it to create this our little effect. Okay, now this thumb here, this is very important. You actually don't see this thumb, okay? But it's necessary in order for us to have this little effect. We need to have something that is relative on the stage, okay? We need a box that is set to a position that is relative so that we can add our absolute positioning of this black bar, okay? So I hope you guys understand it. We can go live right here within Dreamweaver, or we can inspect it again in Firefox. There we go. All right, guys, well, that's the end of it. And if you guys have any questions, if you want to shoot me some love mail or some hate mail, leave your comments in the section below. And hopefully I look forward to making more tutorials. And that's it. Edwin out. Bye.